Have you ever been told that your mix is too loud, and maybe you actually decide it's too loud and you try to pull it back, but when you reach down for that master fader, you start to pull it back a little bit, suddenly all the energy saps out of your mix and you're like, ugh, now I feel like I'm handcuffed and it's a wussy, wimpy mix. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with your mix being too loud, clearly defining what that is, getting some of the problems at the source, and then what to do about it when it really is your fault at the soundboard. Hey, if we haven't met before, my name is James Attaway, and I help church sound techs, worship leaders, and tech directors eliminate the mystery and frustration when it comes to sound at church. If that's you, you found the right place, please hit that subscribe button. Let's dive right in. So sometimes we haven't clearly defined what too loud is, so if you're hearing that from somebody else, or if you're thinking it yourself, let's get a little bit more granular and define the root of the problem. Sometimes too loud means just we've pushed the intensity level louder than what the congregation wants, or what helps them connect. More specifically, this could be vocals that are too far out in front because we've made our band mix really big, but we don't want to lose the intelligibility, so we park that vocal right on top of that. And then that vocal has too much dynamic range, and so for it to be still clearly heard on top of the band, sometimes it jumps out and hurts people. That's one problem that we can try to solve with pulling back maybe some of our mid-range instruments, compressing the vocal a little bit more, maybe carving out some space for conflicting frequencies that are covering up the vocals in some of the instruments. We talk about some strategies for that in other videos. I'll make sure to link them down in the description below. Other times there's one instrument that's a little bit too loud, or it doesn't quite sound great and it's out in front, and that's what's making it feel too loud. Identifying the thing that's actually painful or the thing that might be causing discomfort and pulling that back might be the solution for it's too loud. And on the flip side, that might also be the solution for why you can't hear your lead vocal. For some people, it might just be that it's too bassy, or the bass response that you want to feel might not be what makes them happy. So you've got to watch out for that and maybe just pull down the extreme low end if you're getting problems or complaints and saying, this is a bit too much. People don't necessarily want to feel the thump in their chest, although I love feeling the thump in my chest, and it's so satisfying when you get it right. Not everybody's there. And for church, we're serving the entire congregation, not just our own preferences. Sometimes on the flip side though, there's not enough bass in your mix. So if your mix is thin, it can feel harsh. Turning up the low frequencies can actually make it feel fuller and less loud, even at the same intensity. That's why I end many of my videos by saying it's all about the low end, and the rest of the quote is it's all about the low end. When you get that right, everything else falls into place. Another thing that can make your mix feel too loud is if there's no dynamic range. If the band goes up to a 10 out of 10 and stays there for a very long time, that can feel fatiguing. Contrast, on the other hand, makes it so that the quiet parts and the loud parts feel good together, and then we can actually get louder with our loud parts, or make the loud parts feel louder without being at as high of an intensity for a long period of time. Now, who defines what these are? I would say that the church leadership team has the final say of what our emphasis should be, how loud it should be, and what our targets are. That's the reason why I put together my free guide, How to Lead Your Church Sound Team, and in it, you can walk through the step-by-step plan for determining how loud should it be, how bassy should it be, what instruments should be emphasized in our mix, and what style are we going for? Do we want a lot of dynamic range or less dynamic range? Or do we want to just keep it quiet the entire time? This varies from congregation to congregation, and your leadership team is going to have a firm grasp on this, especially after you walk them through this guide and get really clear on what the definitions of a great mix are for your people. This also helps when you have those correction conversations, say you're the worship leader and you've got to talk to the sound tech. You can talk about the values that you have as a church rather than my opinion versus your opinion. And let me tell you, the first one goes a lot better than the second one. Now, worship leaders, I'm talking to you here. The arrangement that you decide on helps determine how this dynamic range thing works out. You have to determine to bring the band back sometimes, right? Verse 2 doesn't have to be as loud as chorus 1, or you could have a down chorus to start. There's all kinds of things we can do to the arrangement to keep it exciting and dynamic. This is going to help your sound techs not keep it too loud for too long. Now, on the musician side, the better the tone and the better the musicianship, the louder you can make it without it feeling harsh or out of place. If you have great instruments and they're in capable hands that make it sound good, that's when you can make it sound loud and things don't get painful. A little bit more specific on the arrangement front is that pad elements actually help make things feel fuller, and you can go to louder places without having to feel like it's jumping out at you all the time. Now, sometimes things are too loud because the stage noise is too high. A lot of times that's the drummers. So here's some strategies for keeping your drummer's stage noise down with a little budget, a little bit more budget, and a lot of budget. No budget starting place is having your drummer play for the room. So sometimes you imagine that you're in a bigger band or a bigger room than you're in. But if you're in a small room with low ceilings and it's not that big, you have to imagine that you're playing in a coffee shop, not playing out in an arena. Even though a lot of the music and the arrangements that we hear from worship bands have that arena type feel, sometimes you got to dial it back and play quieter so that you can kind of match the intensity of the room if there's not a drum enclosure or if there's not something that keep that sound from blasting everybody even to the back row. A quote I've heard for a long time is that you beat the drums and pet the cymbals, but sometimes you have to even just pet the drums too. You just got to dial it back a little bit more when the room is small. If you have a little bit of budget, you can just pop for the Adoro silent sticks. These keep a lot of the same tone as solid sticks, but at a much lower level, and it also keeps drummers from crashing on the ride because this will break the plastic stick that it's attached to. I made a whole video about it. You can check it out up at the link above. Now, if you've got a little bit more budget, you can get some drum shields or deflectors or baffles to keep the drums out of the vocal mics, and that's going to help keep your noise down as well. The less noise that's getting picked up by all the vocal mics and then amplified more, that's going to give you a little bit more room to be able to pull things back and have that creative control, which we will not fight Mr. Schneebly for. Now, if you have some budget, a full shield does help, but you still can't have the drummer wailing away in a small room just with a shield in front of the drums. For that, you're going to have to go on to full-on enclosure. So that means top and sides are fully covered, there's a door, and you're going to have to spring for some sort of air conditioning or ventilation system. Drummers get hot when they play, and it can get pretty stinky in there, so to avoid the fishbowl from fogging up, you can hook in an air conditioner to have some hot air come out and some cold air come in. Now, when it comes to actually pulling things down at the soundboard, I don't recommend just reaching for that master fader and tucking it back. That will sap the energy out of your mix, and here's why. If we take a look at the Fletcher-Munson curve, and here's a nerdy heads up, this is going to get a little bit nerdy. We put the Fletcher-Munson curve up here. You can see right in the middle at 1K, all of these lines move up in 10 dB increments. These are levels called fawns, or phones, I think, but I think it's called fawns, and it shows the relative level for the different frequencies compared to 1K. So at 70 dB SPL A-weighted, we need a whole lot more low frequency energy to sound balanced. But if we move up to 80 dB SPL A-weighted, we need a lot less energy relative to what we needed at 70 dB SPL. So when we just pull back our master fader, it's as if not just we turn down everything by the same amount, we're turning down our bass and our drums a disproportionate amount compared to the mid-range instruments. So what does this mean for us when we're mixing? When we need to turn things down, I don't just turn down my master fader. I don't even turn down my band DCA overall and my vocal DCA overall. I get a little bit more granular than that. I split out my DCAs so that I've got drums and bass together, and then I've got guitars and keyboards and vocals separately. You could combine guitars and keyboards. That wouldn't make me upset. If you've got enough space, have guitars and have keyboards, that's fine. But when you're pulling things down, you're going to have to pull down your guitars and keys and vocals a little bit more than you need to pull down your bass and your drums so that solid foundation on the low end stays intact, but your overall level comes back and it still sounds balanced. So to recap, you've got to get specific about what it is that's too loud when somebody says this is too loud. You got to drill down a little bit more and not just have a knee-jerk reaction, and hopefully you don't get angry and want to slam down the faders and walk out of the sound booth. Not that I've ever been tempted to do that, but I've been tempted to do that before. The next thing you have to know is what the values are for your church so that you don't get it too loud in the first place. Or if you do get it too loud, you can have a conversation about the values that you have, not my opinion versus your opinion. Finally, we've got to keep our stage noise down, and that oftentimes starts with the drummers, but we have to delegate some authority to the sound tech to say to the people on stage, I need you to play a little bit more quietly so that we can make the mix fit what works for our congregation. This takes humility, this takes teamwork, and all that is a good thing. Finally, if you're going to pull stuff down at the console, pull it down by DCA group, not by the master fader. This is going to help keep your mix feeling full even when you pull that overall level back. If you like this video and you want to see some more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and check out our other videos down below. We've got playlists and playlists of content for you here on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, and remember, it's all about the low end, avoid the sound tech solo, and nobody leaves church humming the kick drum. We'll see you back here next time on Attaway Audio.